If it hasn't manifested yet, you're not manifesting it. You might be desiring it, visualizing it, setting an intention even, or working toward it. But manifestation is the point where the thing has actually become manifest in your life. And somewhere along the way, we bundled the entire process into one word, then wondered why vision boards and a few affirmations didn't change anything.
Welcome to Human Evolution, the podcast where growth gets real, patterns get exposed, and things start to look a little different. I'm Jodie Tala, integrative neuroregulation coach and the founder of MindDrop. This is where we have the conversations that don't always get said out loud, unpacking emotional regulation, neuroscience, and the patterns shaping how you think, feel, and show up in the world, and what it really takes to change. For the self-aware, heart-led humans and high performers who are done running on autopilot and ready to live life on purpose. Let's go.
I love a good vision board. I love sitting down and getting clear on what I want and finding those pictures that represent it and having something in front of me that reminds me of where I'm heading. I'm also not here to argue about whether manifestation is real, because I think the word itself has become so muddled that half the time people having this debate aren't even talking about the same thing. Some people use manifestation, the word, to mean visualization. Some use it to mean intention setting or affirmations, or talk about energetic alignment or asking the universe or God for something. Some use it for anything good that happens in their life, including the things that they never actually wanted or planned for in the first place. So I kind of want to clean this up a little bit. To manifest means that something has become evident. It now exists. It's taken form. The business, the relationship, the home, the opportunity, the health change, whatever it is, it's moved from being an internal desire or a thought or possibility into something that now exists in your lived reality. That's what manifestation actually is. The vision board isn't the manifestation. The meditation isn't the manifestation, nor is the affirmation. They may all belong to the process that contributes to something becoming manifested, but they are not manifestation itself. Manifestation is the outcome. It's not the method. And once I started thinking about it that way, the pathway of how to create this and manifest things became so much clearer. There's a couple of pathways here. And for people who create from vision, it often looks something like this. There's the desire, the vision, the intention, the goals, the action, and then the outcome of manifestation. So this is what I like to call the vision-led pathway. It isn't the only way that people build remarkable lives, though. Some people can see what they want before there is any evidence of it. They can picture it, feel it, and begin moving towards it. But other people can't always see that bigger picture at all. They take the next step and then build capacity, and then they gather this evidence and slowly discover a life that they could never have imagined from when they first started. Today, we're talking about the people who begin with vision and what needs to happen between seeing something in your mind and then living it in your actual life. And that pathway starts with desire. So desire is that first pull towards something. It might be a really clear want, or maybe it's like a quiet sense that there has to be more than what you're currently experiencing. It might be like you want more freedom or more financial stability or a healthier relationship or body, like a body that you're proud of, whatever it might be. Even a business that supports your life rather than consuming it or having to work like a 9-to-5 that you don't enjoy. And at this point, it doesn't necessarily have any form. You just know something needs to be different. Then vision gives the desire the shape. So what does more freedom actually look like? Does it mean working 4 days instead of 7? Does it mean having enough money in the bank that every unexpected bill or something that, I don't know, dies in the house or whatever you have to replace doesn't become a crisis? Or does it mean waking up without immediately reaching for your phone and walking straight into everybody else's needs for the day? Vision takes the desire and gives your brain something more specific to work with. From there comes intention. And intention is when you choose to orient yourself toward that vision. So you're no longer admiring the possibility. You're saying, wouldn't that be nice? You're actually deciding that this matters enough for you to participate in creating it. Then goals give that intention that definition. So they turn the bigger parts of that vision into something specific enough and kind of chunk it down so you can make decisions around and measure it. So I want more financial freedom is a desire and a vision. But I want to consistently generate $10,000 per month in my business is a goal. You can see how one kind of moves into the other and starts to support facilitating it coming to fruition, actually taking manifestation, right? The action introduces the goal to reality. And it's the decisions and behaviors and conversations, experiments, and repeated effort that give that internal vision somewhere to go. So manifestation is what eventually exists because of that. The revenue is consistently coming in and the business supports you and you employ the person and you move into the house that you white picket fence or whatever it might look like for you. And you finish the qualification you've been working on. You've built something that at one point only existed as a possibility or a thought inside your mind. Now, this isn't a perfectly neat conveyor belt though, because goals can change. Action teaches you things you could not have ever known from the starting line before taking it. Sometimes you realize that the original vision wasn't actually yours. It might have been something you thought you should want because everyone else around you seemed to want it too. And sometimes that final manifestation looks completely different from the picture that you started with and is better suited to the person that you became while creating it. So life has these variables and other people have free will. Timing matters and opportunity matters. And there's this really great diagram. I'll throw it up on the screen in a second. It's from Paul Hanna in his book, You Can Do It. And it talks about the crossroads of luck, which is the opportunity crossed with preparation. It's absolutely brilliant. So all of that actually matters when it comes to this stuff, right? Your health, privilege, support, and circumstances all become a part of this picture as well. So no internal practice gives us complete control over every external outcome. But the chain of how this works, especially for the vision-led pathway, still helps us see where the process has become incomplete. And this is where vision boards come in. A vision board does the vision part beautifully. It can take this vague desire and idea in your head and make it visible for you to see. It helps you notice themes in what you're drawn towards as well, and it can reconnect you with what matters when the week gets like stupid crazy and everything urgent starts pulling you from every which way and pulls your attention away from the life you said you actually wanted to build. So there's value in having the vision board for that reason. But most vision boards show the finished picture. They show the house, not the years of financial decisions to get there. Or say you're an actor and they show like the stage and you perform it, but not the hundreds of hours spent becoming the person you need to be to stand on that stage. So the thriving business and the money that comes behind that, it doesn't necessarily show the offers that didn't sell, the awkward sales conversations and the feedback you didn't want to hear, or the consistent work that nobody applauds you for and then thinks you're an overnight success when things go right. They also show the strong relationship, but not the uncomfortable conversations and the boundaries and the repair and the ability to stay present when things aren't perfect and how to, have constructive resolution, conflict resolution. It's okay, because that isn't the board's job to do all of that. The problem starts when we ask the vision board or the vision itself to do the work of the intention, goals, and the action. And then we call that whole thing manifestation. And there's some really, really interesting research around this as well. Psychologist Gabriele Oettingen has spent years looking at how the way we imagine the future affects what we actually do next. In research that she did with Doris Mayer, she found an important difference between expecting an outcome and actually fantasizing about it. So when people genuinely believe something was realistically achievable, they tended to put more effort in and performed better toward that outcome. Then more research by Heather Capes and Oettinger again look specifically at idolized positive fantasies. So the kind where you mentally step into the finished outcome and enjoy how good it feels to already be there. And they found that those fantasies could actually reduce the energy people brought to pursuing the outcome. So you picture it, you feel pride and relief and freedom and excitement and attached all to this thing, right? To this vision. And for a moment, you can relax into the feeling of already having arrived, even though nothing in your external world has changed yet, and more than likely nothing in your internal world has changed yet either. And just so you know, I am not anti-visualization, quite the opposite, actually. I use it and I believe there can be enormous power in seeing the outcome as already done, connecting with that version of how you feel and rehearsing yourself there. And there's lots of research around that as well. And you'll hear a lot of that in the personal development sector, the spirituality sector, the manifestation peoples, and all that sort of thing. But there is a difference between sitting inside this really lovely finished fantasy and using imagery as a tool that changes how you prepare, decide, and show up. For some people, seeing it first is incredibly powerful. It gives the future enough emotional weight and they begin to move differently in the present. And that's great. That's actually what we're wanting. The bit that I don't buy, though, is stopping there just at the visualization board and then calling the job done. A business and Facebook ads coach that I know, Claire, she's amazing. But recently she gave me a really good real life example of what I'm talking about here. So she is incredible at ads, all thing ads. She's got it down pat and she's a really great marketer as well. She understands business really well. But from my understanding, this is her first sort of go at this type of format with the webinar. So in the few webinars that she held were kind of rough and she talks about that. She spent thousands on ads and she was getting people registered and showing up live, but the sales weren't really happening. And more importantly, she wasn't sitting around though waiting for the manifestation to fix it. So she kept doing the work. She kept showing up. So she practiced. She looked at the numbers. She kept delivering the webinars. She changed parts of the presentation and the storytelling as she needed to. She increased the ad spend so she could get more data, like better data from Facebook and Instagram. Then right before one of the webinars, she stood in front of the mirror and did a quick manifestation exercise, some mirror work. And she took herself an hour into the future where the webinar had finished. And she'd imagined that the results that she wanted, how good it felt and how much fun she'd had delivering it and how easy the whole thing had felt. Then she went live. And I love this bit, right? That webinar ended up bringing in 7 sales live and another 2 from the replay. Now, I can't tell you that the exercise, the mirror work caused those sales. Claire changed other things too, right? She had several webinars worth of practice behind her. And there were more people in the room at that point because she'd increased her ad spend. But that's my whole point. She didn't just lean on visualization instead of preparing. She visualized on top of preparation, repetition, learning, and action. Life rewards action, my friend. The vision became part of how she walked into the thing that she'd already done the work for. And that's such a different use of visualization than just sitting inside this finished fantasy and waiting for the results to rock up. And this is why I'm really mindful with how I set intentions, and that the way I set intentions includes much more than just writing down the outcome in present tense, which I do. It's part of it. But I start with a feeling. And then I write my goal as though it's already become part of my life. And then I connect the outcome to the way that I showed up and participated in creating it. So for example, you might be an entrepreneur and you're making, say, 5K a month and you want to turn that into 10K. So you would say something like, I am so happy and grateful now that I make $10,000 per month because of the consistent way I've been showing up, how I've been serving clients and building my business. Now, happy and grateful is the feeling in this example, but it doesn't always have to be gratitude. It can be anything that makes sense to what you're writing. So it could be that you're so proud and fulfilled, or you're relieved, or you feel grounded and secure, or you feel free. Whatever it is what you're going to go with. So the point isn't just to pace gratitude over the whole goal that brings up something completely different. Choose the correct emotion, or the right emotion that genuinely belongs to what you're creating and what the outcome would mean for you. And then you're going to add, this goal was really, really important to me because. And because is one of those magical words and so powerful in our language. And then you would complete the sentence. So the whole thing is written almost like it's a memory from the future. But you're looking back from the version of your life where this has already happened and asking why it mattered so much. So maybe making $10,000 consistently per month gives you some financial breathing room. Or maybe it means that you could employ somebody, reduce your hours, support your family, and then invest maybe in another project, or stop making every single decision based from short-term survival mode. Maybe it creates proof that you can build something financially stable without sacrificing your health or every single other part of your life to do it. So we have the I am so emotion, now that I am goal, because of what I did. Then underneath that, you've got, this was really, really important to me because, and then the reasons why. Then you would finish with the 3 actions I took were, and then identify 3 things that you could have contributed to the result of that. So maybe it could look like, it might sound like I clearly communicated and made offers every week, or I followed up warm inquiries instead of assuming that silence meant no. I reviewed my numbers every Friday or every Monday, whatever day you pick, and adjusted what wasn't working. The point isn't to perfectly predict every step you're going to need to take, because you kind of can't. You haven't started moving yet, so you don't have all of that information that movement will actually give you. But the 3 actions are the best starting points you can identify from where you are now. You can review them and you can adjust them and you can replace them as you learn more as you go. What's important here is you're no longer rehearsing an outcome that has no relationship to your behavior. You're picturing the result alongside evidence of how you participated in creating it. So the full intention might sound a little like this. I am so happy and grateful now that I consistently make $10,000 per month because of the way I have shown up, served my clients, and continued building my business. This goal was really, really important to me because it gave me the financial stability to grow my business sustainably, support the people I love, and make decisions based on where I'm going instead of what I needed to survive this week. 3 actions I took were, I communicated and made offers consistently, I followed up every warm inquiry, and I reviewed my revenue and adjusted my strategy every Friday if needed. There are several things that are happening in that one intention. The feeling gives the outcome emotional relevance. That present tense goal asks you to mentally step into a possible future instead of only looking at it as something distant. That association is actually really important as long as the rest follows. You don't want to get caught up in that fantasy thinking. The process clause links the result with agency. All right, so you're not imagining $10,000 appearing from nowhere. You're rehearsing the relationship between the actual outcome and the way you showed up, served people, and built the business to get it. The reason connects the goal with the personal meaning. And the 3 actions move the exercise out of that fantasy and into participation. It's that co-creation with the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it. From a neuro brain perspective, we're not pressing one magical manifestation button. And I'm not going to pretend that this one sentence neatly switches on all 4 separate parts of your brain and guarantees a result, okay? Because the brain is far more connected and complex than that. But what this process does is bring several of our systems, the way that our brain works, into one same exercise. So we've got emotion and valuation. We've got self-relevant future stimulation. We've got planning and cognitive control, and we have personal meaning. Research from Fox and colleagues found that gratitude was associated with activity in the brain regions involved in processing value, social meaning, and personal relevance. Research from Stewardzik and Diagenbaum into personal future thinking points to networks involving the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, and memory systems that help us construct and evaluate imagined future events. When you identify the actions that are involved, you bring planning and executive control into the picture as well. So instead of only writing a number on a page, you are giving the goal emotional relevance. You're placing yourself inside a possible future, connecting it to something personally meaningful, and identifying how you'll begin participating in its creation. The action matters here as well. It still doesn't guarantee it though, but it gives the goal far more to work with than just a picture you look at occasionally and hope somehow will magically show up in your life. And this is also why writing the intention once isn't the end of the process, because rehearsal and repetition are really important here. Again, not because repeating a sentence enough times forces the universe to deliver it. It's more revisiting the intention keeps the desired outcome, and the reason behind it and the actions connected with it is more available to your attention, because life gets crazy busy. So you might set a goal in January that is really important to you, genuinely important. And by February, though, your attention is being consumed by like a gazillion emails and bills coming in after Christmas and school pickups and client work and family problems and whatever fresh emergency happened to arrive that week. And the attention gives you somewhere to return to. So what did I say that I wanted? Why did I say that it mattered? What did I believe I needed to do? And am I still moving in that direction? Do those 3 actions still make sense, or do they need to be tweaked a little now that I've been doing something about it? What has action taught me since I actually wrote them down? The repetition helps keep that goal mentally accessible, but it also gives you a regular point of review, because revisiting an intention shouldn't mean mindlessly reading the same words every day. And while your behavior continues in the opposite direction, because that's not ideal, it's not what we're wanting, it's the rehearsal, but it's also a really good check-in as well. This is where those simple, when this happens, I'll do this plan becomes really useful. So research from Goldwitzer and colleagues found that when we decide on the cue and the response ahead of time, we're more likely to recognize the opportunity and get moving when it shows up. So you're not starting the decision from scratch every time. You've already considered what you're going to do. For example, when I sit down at my desk on Friday morning, I will review my revenue and follow up every open inquiry. It's much stronger than I will be more consistent in my business. The intention holds the bigger picture, but the goal gives you something specific to work toward. So the 3 actions tell you what participation currently looks like. Then rehearsal keeps. A lot of people don't stop because they don't want the outcome badly enough. They stop because action is where the beautiful, controlled vision meets uncertainty. The vision board can feel exciting. Making the offer, however, can feel really, really exposing, vulnerable. Visualizing the relationship can feel really beautiful, but having the conversation that creates a healthier relationship can feel deeply uncomfortable and sometimes even a little scary. Picturing yourself on the stage can feel inspiring, but practicing badly or being seen before you're ready and receiving feedback that, constructive as it might be, can feel completely different. Sometimes the missing link isn't the actual belief in the outcome. It's having the capacity to keep going even when the process is uncertain or repetitive or inconvenient or no longer giving you that emotional high of the original vision. Action isn't always like sparkly and fun. Most of the time, it actually looks incredibly ordinary and sometimes boring. It's the email, it's the conversation, the follow-up, the hour you protected for your own time. It's the decision that you made again. It's the adjustment of something that didn't work. The moment that you wanted to retreat but stayed regulated enough to stay in the process and then took that next appropriate step. So those ordinary actions begin to create this evidence, and the evidence moves, right? You learn, your skill improves, an opportunity opens, and you become more capable of holding that result that you're working towards. And eventually something exists that wasn't there before. And that is the manifestation. So keep your vision board. Let it show you what you want. Let it reconnect with you with the feeling and the possibility of all of it. So that desire has a vision, then give that vision an intention. Turn the intention into goals. And then identify the actions you can take from where you currently stand. Write them down, rehearse them, return to them. Let action give you that new information and adjust what needs to change. Manifestation is not the thing you do instead of all of that. It is what has become real after your internal vision had somewhere to meet your external life. So think about it this way. The Wright brothers created the airplane, but how did they do it? Thoughts become things is a very true statement, but it doesn't stay just in vision. If they had have just thought about it or just had a picture or a sketch or a drawing of it and left it at that, we wouldn't have planes. Maybe not in the same way, or maybe not for X amount of years until someone else had the same sort of thought, vision or otherwise, and then followed it through. But they started experimenting. They started actually creating the thing that they saw in their mind. They did the work and it failed like a bunch of times. And they kept recreating it and kept going and kept going. And now you look at what we have in the flying in the air all the time. That is the manifestation process in its whole entirety. They manifested it, yes, from thoughts, from things, yes, but there were steps along the way that they needed to take. But this is one pathway. It's the pathway for people who can see something before it exists and borrow enough belief from that vision to begin moving toward it. What if you can't see it? What if you're not someone who can see a picture or a huge future or feel it as though it's already yours, or you believe in something before you've had any evidence of it because that feels completely unbelievable to you? Does that mean that you're bad at manifestation? Does that mean that you can't create an extraordinary life? Absolutely not. Because some people borrow their belief from vision, but other people build belief from evidence. And there are a lot of wildly successful people living lives they genuinely never could have imagined when they began. But that's what's coming up into next episode. It's the next pathway. We'll see you there.
Hey, my beautiful friend. Thanks for hanging out and listening to today's episode. If you want to keep the momentum going, head over to minddrophq.com/podcast. It's where all the tools, resources, and gold from the show are kept, so your growth doesn't stop when the episode ends. If this episode sparks something in you, share it with a friend or someone who needs to hear this. The more people having these conversations, the bigger the ripple we create. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. It really means the world. Until next time, keep being your gorgeous, unstoppable self.